Good morning, everyone. Let's begin with a short story. There was a Chinese man. He was having a son. His son's spinal cord was badly injured and affected. Villagers showed sympathy and empathy towards his son. He was sad seeing his son's position. The next day, army has entered into the village and has announced that whosoever body is fit must compulsorily join army. And that time the old man was so happy that he need not send his son to the army because he was affected by spinal cord. So, moral of the story is believe in yourself and all that you are. Know that there is something inside you that is greater than any obstacle. Always there are two sides of a coin. If you focus only on the negative side, then of course that negative side will only expand. So always think in a positive way so that only the positivity expands in your life. So as with all the CA students, some might have failed in an attempt or some are giving for the first time. So always have the courage to face any situation. You can never think what is on the other side of the door. So always have the courage. Let's quickly begin the session. Myself CA Preeti Lunia. I am a mentor, influencer and business analyst. I have mentored more than 1000 plus students. So this is a short introduction of mine. Let's begin with the session 3. Session 3 is presentation in practical subjects. When I have mentored more than 1000 students, the basic doubts of the students were, I am writing same as in icai study material. My conclusion answer is matching with the icai answer, but where am I going wrong? So guys, you are checking only the conclusion answer with the institute's material. Make sure that if a question has A, B, C, D points, then all the A, B, C, D answers are matching with the institute no matter whatever method you follow. It is not compulsory for you to follow the same method which ICI has given in their study material. You can follow your own process also provided it is correct. Major mistakes done by students. What happens is whenever a student sees a easy question in the examination hall and he already calculates everything in his mind. So when he starts his question, he starts with a calculation. Suppose there is a question and it contains 1, 2, 3, 4 bits inside that. But without mentioning the first bit, student simply starts the calculation and working notes. So suppose if I am the examiner, or suppose think yourself as the examiner and write the exam. If you are the examiner and you are correcting the paper, then is it possible for you to understand that this working note is belonging to which point of the part of the exam? So it should be related to your question and even the number also. So if you have seen here, I have attached a paper which has been corrected by CA test series. You can see in that student is not giving proper spacing and no proper calculations. Simply writing the numeric figures 1000, 2000. But how did you arrive at those figures are not being written in the examination hall. So I tell students that your presentation also matters a lot. The first impression you get is the way you present, because that itself shows that you are confident or not of the answer. If you are not confident, then you simply skip the parts. You avoid writing numbers, you avoid writing headings. Most of the students are not writing headings for working notes. Like when you are solving something of the balance sheet, suppose take assets, non-current assets or anything, then at least mention that this is of non-current asset calculation. You have to mention the headings and calculations very clearly, and I suggest students that whenever you are writing exam, always think that if you are the examiner, would you give that mark to the student? Think from that point of view so that you can yourself understand that this is not the way it should be presented. So take the time to review and refine the answers. Make sure that you write in clear and concise language and use proper formatting. Above all, believe in yourself and your abilities. Your hard work and effort will surely pay off. Some of the mistakes which I have found in most of the answer sheets were mistakes done while concluding the answer. Whenever a student writes conclusion, if a question is given that just yes or no, whether it is valid or not invalid, like in most of the questions we get. So student is simply writing valid, invalid and coming off from the exam. He is just writing valid and invalid but not specifying why it is valid or why it is not valid. I know while writing the above answer you might have summarized it, but when writing conclusion at least write it in a line or two that this is valid because of so and so reason. Share the situation, your analysis and steps taken to reach the conclusion. Do not directly jump to the conclusion because all your marks will not be given over there. Why would an examiner give you mark for simply just writing valid or invalid? This is not a MCQ question that you are just bubbling the valid and invalid. The examiner wants to know the reason behind your writing the conclusion. So that's why most of the students when they are writing answers, they tell that I have written as it is from the study material, but out of 5 marks I just got 1 mark. Why did you get 1 mark? Because you are not writing in a proper format, explaining the facts of the case, writing the solution and writing the problem which was given in the question, concluding it in a best way. So I tell students, do not simply just conclude with yes or no and come. Instead write it in a summarized way that this is the reason I felt it is valid as per the provisions of so and so act. The next thing, start your answer carefully. Whenever you write an answer, make sure that at least a small introduction is given by you. Try writing just 1-2 line introduction of the question given. So if you see in the answer sheet attached there, in solution 2, it's essential to mention 6 situations. There was given a question which was having 6 situations. But what the student has done is, he started with a situation, he directly started writing the answer. He is not mentioning in the answer that this belongs to this situation or first situation or second situation or what is it. You are out of 6 situations, you are simply starting your answer without notifying anything. Then think you are the examiner, how will you know that what the student is writing for each situation? If there are 6 situations given for an question, then institute is giving you marks individually for all the situations. Do not assume that these 6 situations are there, so if I write it combinedly I will get at least 4-5 marks out of 8 marks. No. You have to mention the situation 1 and write it. Situation 2, mention it. At least give a brief introduction also, a little introduction and not the paras, just a brief introduction. And you can even underline the main points, but do not use multicolor pens. Use only a single pen throughout your exam, which will help you in maintaining consistency and it shows professionalism. So these small steps will make a very big impact in the overall quality of your answer. It shows how the effort was put in by you while solving the answer. Decision making sums. There are when you take subjects like costing, accounting, SFM, decision making is a very crucial aspect in those subjects. So many students, what they do, because due to lack of conceptual clarity, the student simply, he will calculate all the accurately the figures, but when it comes to the conclusion of making a decision, he is unable to write the decision making. So make sure that your concept is clear, because when your concept is clear and when you are calculating all the accurate figures, then conclusion, write it in a very good presentation that the examiner is impressed by the way you have presented that concept. It's ultimately the starting and the conclusion. If it is very good, the examiner is automatically impressed by your paper. If you write something or the other and always do the strikings or anything, then there itself the impression is lost. So if you have seen the attached answer sheet over there, here the student is struggling with decision making. He knows the concept but unable to summarize the concept and conclude it. So make sure whenever you are reading or practicing the practical subjects, your concept should be cut and clear. And if you feel that I am unable to understand this concept now itself, now while preparing, there are many YouTube channels and many lecturers who are revising each and every concept, whether it's in Hindi or English. So I assume that you know either of the both languages. So you can easily go to the YouTube channel, revise the concept clearly. If it will take only 10 to 20 minutes. But that 10 to 20 minutes will have a great impact on your life for students who are getting out of 200 only 190. So if this 10 marks gets added to your score, you are clearing a group. So always, if you do not understand anything, then just you have many channels and you have many mentors also in CAtestseries who are guiding you and who are also solving your questions also. So take the advantage of everything you have now, because these little things will have a very great impact at the final result. Don't overwrite. I have seen most of the students starting, he'll be thinking that I'll start with question number 2. But what happens, you know, when you start writing question number 2 and start with A bit, B bit or anything, suddenly a student feels that this is something while writing I am unable to answer it. So that time what the student will do is he will quickly change his mind and jump to the 4th question. But here the student does a mistake is you are jumping to the question number 4, but you are above when you have written question number 2, you are simply turning it to 4. You know, the making of 2 to 4 or making of 5, question number 5 to 6, just a simple round. You are not striking it and writing question number 6. If you are saying this attached answer sheet, the person has written question number 6, but it seems like the person was answering question number 5 and then he had just circled that 5 to 6. Do not do these mistakes in your examination hall. These little mistakes will cost you your 6 months of attempt. If you rewrite it, the examiner is unable to understand whether it's 5th question or 6th question. Now suppose if each question is for 16 marks, then simply a small mistake of question number 5 making it to 6, instead of striking and writing question number 6, it has impacted your 6 months attempt. And the 6 months attempt will cost you 3 lakh rupees also, because if you clear 6 months before, you used to get that 3 lakhs additional amount if you have joined a job. So these small things always keep in mind that no matter, you can cut it and write beside that this is question number 6 and not 5. So write question and start each question in a new page. If there is question number 6, if it is having A, B, C, D, E inside it, you can continue it in the same pages. But if it is question number 6 and question number 5, then make sure that each question starts in a new page. After question number 6, Do not write question number 5 beneath that. That will lose again your marks. So these are very small mistakes which we generally think we take it light. But if you take this light, it will cost you an attempt. Improve your speed. Most of the students, what they do is just attempt 60 marks or 70 marks in the examination hall and come back, and then they lose all of the confidence that I cannot clear the group because I have attempted only 60, and out of 60 how could I get exemption also. Suppose 1-2 marks here and there, then you are going to lose your exemption, right? So whenever you are writing test series or practicing any question, make sure keep your watch beside you and put a time that if it is a 3 hours exam, so in 3 hours you have 180 minutes and you have 100 marks to write. So per mark you can take 1.8 minutes. So suppose if it is a 10 marks question, you have 18 minutes in your hand. Put a watch and see 18 minutes. But I tell students is that instead of 18 minutes, try to write that question in 16 minutes itself. Improve your speed, because that 2 minutes buffer time you can use somewhere else thinking the solution of a new question or some MCQ left. So if you are not sure of the MCQ, this 2 minutes will be your grace or buffer time. So attempt the questions which you know very properly at the beginning itself. Always put a time, because if you are not following proper time, for each question if you are taking 1 hour to write, or I see students writing 45 minutes a single question. If because the first question will be, no, you'll be like, I know everything, I know every concept, so let me explain everything. For 5 marks they'll write 5 pages. Here the institute doesn't need the number of pages count. It needs your concept and your cut to cut point. If you are just simply dragging 5 marks question to 5 pages for 1 hour, then how do you expect that you complete your paper of 100 marks within 3 hours? There itself your 50% confidence is also gone, and as well as 50% marks are also lost. So write cut to cut. If it is asked so and so, write that so and so point cut to cut. Do not start explaining everything, the above paragraph and the below paragraph, or for some you start calculating the other part also which was not asked. But you were like, I have practiced everything. So the next part also I'll be writing. The next, I know everything. This has not been asked, but I'll show my talent. Please do not do these stunts in the examination hall showing your talents over there. Institute doesn't have that time to see all the answer, all the irrelated stuff. If it is irrelated stuff seen in the exam paper, it's simply they simply ignore that part. No one studies that part which is irrelevant, because it wastes time of examiner also. So always be cut to cut. If it is 4 marks and if you feel that one page you have written 6 to 7 points and those you feel that it is correct, then move on. No problem that if you have written only one page. It always matters the content is correct or not. Not the pages you write simply leaving the gaps, 2 lines gap between each point. I have seen the students. When I was writing exam, a basic exam, I think I have written while writing auditing. I have seen a person taking 4 answer sheets, 4 booklets. Ma'am, give the booklet. Ma'am, give the booklet. And I was like, what is being given in the answer sheet this much that this student is taking 4 booklets. You get the tension, right? When the person beside you is taking 4 to 5 booklets and you are just completing your exam with 2 booklets. So I always made sure that whatever I am writing, I conclude it in a better way, and I write cut to cut only and come. I do not simply drag the answers. It doesn't give sense, and it doesn't give you extra mark if you leave 2 lines for each point. It's okay for points if you leave 1 line, or if you don't leave also, just a arrow mark and writing the points is a very good and neat manner. It's not that for each point or you leave 2 to 3 lines and then again start, leave 2 to 3 lines. It's just you are filling the papers. If you are unable to write any question within the specified time like 18 minutes, within 5 minutes you will understand, right, that this question I am unable to answer. Simply write PTO, leave 3-4 pages as per your assumption that this sum will take me 3 to 4 pages. Jump over to the next one. Do not waste your time thinking over there on the calculator, doing most of the calculations that no, this way I can get, this way I can get. The time you are wasting on the calculator doing all the rough work will lose your remaining marks of the sum which you know. Suppose a sum, what happens is sometimes it comes tricky in the middle and you think that I am unable to write. It's something like a twist. When there is a twist, you leave that sum. Do not waste time on that sum. At the end, if you have time, go back to that question again. Do not sit simply on the same question thinking of that, and when it is 3 p.m. you get to know that it's already 3 p.m. and you have just attempted 4 marks. So do not waste your time in such a way. Time is very important, since we have been learned from the very starting of our school days also. The person who values time will succeed very soon in his life. And do not feel unrest while attempting the exam. Some people write in a very different manner that the examiner is unable to understand his writing also. It's like you are sleepy and you are just writing. And this mistake also most of the students do is, today is the exam, so whole night the student doesn't sleep and directly go to the examination hall at 2 p.m. I am telling you, do not do this mistake at all. Even if you complete only 60 to 70% revision before the exam day, have at least 6 hours of sleep. Minimum 6 hours of sleep is required for a student to attempt properly in the next day exam. I did the mistake in one of my attempt was, because that was audit subject and most of my portion was incomplete. I just covered 30 to 40%, so I was scared and I sat whole night studying all the chapters. What has happened, when I was putting on the pen at 2 p.m. the next day, I was literally feeling sleepy. And you won't assume that what I have did, the water bottle which we take, I was just washing my face over there, taking my kerchief, and just because I was in a deep sleep that time, because of the last day I haven't slept properly. When you are not sleeping properly the day before the examination hall, this all things will happen when you are writing the exam. I am telling you guys, do not skip your sleep for the exam. If your mind is fresh, having enough sleep, then no doubt you will remember all the concepts which you have revised in the past 3 months. It's not that the one day before the exam which you are revising, that will only help you. It's not that way. Even some of the times we discuss with our friends some problems or anything, that you'll remember perfectly, but your mind should be conscious in that time. If you are skipping the sleep for the next day exam and then you think that I can go write well, then it completely shows your examiner can understand that this person is sleepy, because the concept you write is here and there. The person who is fresh will always write in a very good manner and in a very proper presentation. The one who is half sleeping, the answers you can see that here and there he'll write and in a manner that which no one can understand. So make sure you have complete rest, practice more. So for all the practical questions which I tell, do not just simply turn the pages and just see with your eyes that yes, this answer I knew. Always practice all the practical sums, even if it takes time. Because while practicing, you get to know that this is the mistake I have done. This I am unable to solve. You can read things without thinking, but you cannot write the exam without thinking. You can see the sum without even thinking. Your brain might be somewhere, you are seeing the sum and it's okay. But when you write the exam, you have to think and write and put it on the paper, right? So when you are putting it on the paper, make sure that you take the test series and solve each of the sum. and if any of the sum goes wrong in the test series, then that time itself when you have the suggested answers, again practice that sum. The more you practice, the more you get perfection, and it also saves time in your exam. When you practice, it saves time, not only the speed, it improves your handwriting also. You write it very fast because you already had practiced a lot. So the best way to achieve is by attempting large number of questions in your area of study. So attempting more questions will help you build a confidence and develop a better understanding of the subject matter. So in conclusion, practicing more questions is the most effective way to increase speed and accuracy in the exam. So thanking everyone, thank you to all the attendees for making the presentation a success. Your participation and attention is appreciated. Thanks to the whole CA Test Series team who is always there to support anytime. Thank you for your support. You can follow me or ask any queries in the comment section, or you can even ping me on Instagram or LinkedIn. The below is my ID shared. Thank you.